There is a game happening around you right now, not somewhere far away, not in some corporate boardroom or political backroom, right here, in your workplace, in your friendships, at your dinner table. In every conversation you've had today, someone was either consciously playing this game or completely unaware that it was being played on them. And here is the uncomfortable part. If nobody ever taught you the rules, you've been on the losing side far more often than you realize. Most people move through life believing that outcomes are determined by effort, by talent, by showing up and doing good work. And yes, those things matter, but they are only half the equation. The other half is something most people never study, never discuss, and never even acknowledge exists. It is human psychology, behavioral influence, the silent, invisible layer underneath every interaction you have ever had. Think about a moment in your life where you felt completely unheard, where you had the right idea, the right intention, maybe even the right answer, but somehow it did not land. Someone else got the credit. Someone else got the promotion. Someone else walked into the room and immediately commanded respect that you've been working years to earn. That did not happen by accident. That happened because they understood something you were never taught. And today, that changes. Because once you see this game clearly, once you understand how it actually operates, you will never experience that invisible loss again without knowing exactly why it happened and precisely what to do about it. Here is something worth sitting with for a moment. You spent over a decade in school. You learned algebra. You memorized historical dates. You studied the structure of molecules and the grammar of sentences. And at no point, not once, did anyone sit you down and explain how human beings actually work. Nobody taught you how to read the energy of a room the moment you walk into it. Nobody showed you how to recognize when someone is subtly undermining you while smiling directly at your face. Nobody explained why some people seem to naturally command respect while others, despite being equally qualified, constantly feel overlooked. This is not a personal failure. This is a gap in your education, a massive, consequential gap that most people carry with them their entire lives, quietly wondering why things never seem to go quite the way they planned. And because nobody handed you this knowledge, you develop workarounds. You tried being nicer. You tried working harder. You tried being more agreeable, more accommodating, more available. And when that still did not produce the results you wanted, you told yourself a story that the world is simply unfair, that certain people are just lucky, that some people are naturally born with confidence and influence, and you are simply not one of them. None of that is true. What is true is this: influence, presence, and psychological power are learned skills. They are behavioral patterns that can be studied, understood, and deliberately practiced. The people who seem to effortlessly command rooms and shape outcomes are not operating on luck or genetics. They are operating on an understanding of human behavior that you simply have not been exposed to yet. That exposure starts right now. Let us get precise about something that most people get completely wrong. When most people hear the word control or influence, they immediately picture aggression, dominance, someone forcing their will onto another person, a loud voice, an intimidating presence, a bully at the front of the room. That is not power. That is fear, and fear produces compliance, not loyalty. It produces surface-level agreement wrapped around deep, quiet resentment. The moment that person loses a position or their leverage, everything collapses. Real psychological influence works in the opposite direction entirely. The most behaviorally powerful people in any room are almost never the loudest. They are the stillest. They're the ones who speak less, but carry more weight when they do. They are the ones whose attention you find yourself wanting, whose approval you notice yourself seeking, sometimes without even understanding why. This works because of something deeply embedded in human psychology. We are wired, from a survival standpoint, to take behavioral cues from people around us. We unconsciously scan our environment for signals of who is safe, who is credible, who is worth following. And we make those assessments in seconds, based almost entirely on nonverbal information, tone of voice, speed of movement, eye contact patterns, how someone responds to pressure, whether they fidget or stay still, whether they fill silence with nervous words or simply let silence exist without discomfort. These signals tell your nervous system and everyone else's nervous system in that room, exactly where this person stands in the social hierarchy. And the chilling part is that most people are broadcasting these signals completely unconsciously. They have no idea what they are communicating. They are simply reacting to their internal emotional state and letting it spill outward for everyone to read. The person who understands this has an extraordinary advantage because they are no longer simply reacting. They are deliberately choosing what they communicate and therefore deliberately shaping how others perceive and respond to them. This is where it gets personal. And I want you to stay with this because what I am about to describe might feel uncomfortably familiar. Every single day, you are communicating volumes of information to people around you, and you are doing it without saying a single word. Your body, your eyes, your micro-expressions, your reaction time, your posture under pressure, all of it is being read, processed, and responded to by every person you interact with. When you break eye contact first in a conversation, you are sending a signal. When you over-explain yourself after making a simple statement, you are sending a signal. When you laugh nervously to fill silence, when you physically shrink in the presence of authority, when you seek approval through excessive agreement. Every single one of these behaviors is broadcasting a clear message to anyone who knows how to read it. And that message is, I am not entirely sure myself. Now here is what makes this particularly important. People do not consciously think, oh, that person broke eye contact, therefore I will respect them less. It does not work like that. It operates beneath the level of conscious thought. It is a felt sense, an intuition. Someone walks away from a conversation, and they cannot explain exactly why. But they feel like you are someone they can push, someone they can overlook, someone whose boundaries are negotiable. And you felt it too. You felt like something went slightly off, but you could not put your finger on what. Now you can. The signals that communicate strength are not complicated. Stillness under pressure. Direct, comfortable eye contact that does not feel aggressive but does not waver unnecessarily. Speaking at a slightly slower pace than feels natural when you are nervous. Taking up physical space rather than compressing yourself. Responding to questions with calm deliberateness rather than anxious speed. None of this requires you to be someone you are not. It simply requires awareness and then deliberate practice. Understanding the game is one thing. Playing it consciously is another. So let us talk about 3 specific behavioral shifts that will immediately change how people experience you. The first shift is strategic silence. Most people are terrified of silence. The moment a pause appears in conversation, something in them rushes to fill it. Words pour out, often unnecessary, sometimes self-undermining. Here is a behavioral reality. Silence creates weight. When you make a statement and then allow silence to follow, the other person feels the gravity of what you said. When you respond to a question with a brief pause before answering, you signal that your words are chosen deliberately, not frantically assembled under social pressure. Practice being comfortable in silence. It is one of the most powerful nonverbal tools available to you. The second shift is presence over performance. Most people, when they want to be taken seriously, perform. They try harder. They speak more. They demonstrate their value through visible effort. This almost always backfires because effort signals need, and need signals weakness. Presence works differently. Presence is simply being fully, calmly, completely in the room, not managing impressions, not performing confidence, but actually grounded in your own stillness. People feel this instantly, and they respond to it with a level of respect that no amount of performance can manufacture. The third shift is knowing when to pull back. Constant availability destroys influence. When you are always accessible, always responsive, always eager to engage, you remove the psychological tension that makes people value your attention. Scarcity creates value. This is not manipulation. This is understanding human behavior accurately. When you strategically create space, when you're sometimes less available, when you do not immediately respond to every social pull, people recalibrate their sense of your value upward. Used with integrity, this shift alone will change the dynamics of nearly every relationship in your life. Everything we have discussed so far, the signals, the shifts, the psychology of influence, all of it rests on a single foundation. And without this foundation, none of the external strategies will hold. That foundation is self-mastery. Because here's the truth that most people avoid. You cannot project calm, if you are not cultivating calm internally. You cannot hold strategic silence if your anxiety is screaming at you to fill every pause. You cannot maintain composed eye contact if your nervous system is in a constant low-grade state of threat response. The real work of psychological power is internal work. It is learning to observe your emotional reactions without being immediately controlled by them. It is building the capacity to feel discomfort, social discomfort, pressure, uncertainty, and remain functional and deliberate inside of it rather than reactive. This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about expanding the space between stimulus and response. That space, that fraction of a second where you choose how to react rather than simply reacting, is where all real power lives. When you develop this capacity, something remarkable happens. The external game becomes almost effortless because you are no longer fighting two battles simultaneously, one inside your own mind and one in the room in front of you. You become singularly present. And singular presence is magnetic in a way that no learned technique can fully replicate. Self-mastery is not the final step. It is a first step. Everything else is built on top of it. There is a specific moment that happens for people who truly absorb this information. It is not dramatic. There is no single conversation or breakthrough event. It is quieter than that. It is the moment you are sitting in a meeting or having a conversation or watching an interaction unfold across the room. And you suddenly see it. You see the behavioral dynamics operating beneath the surface. You notice who is holding frame and who is losing it. You catch the moment someone unconsciously defers. You recognize the signal that shifted the power in the room. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That awareness is both a gift and a responsibility, because now you have a choice that most people never get to make consciously. You can choose how you show up. You can choose what you broadcast. You can choose when to speak and when to stay still, when to engage and when to pull back, when to be present and when to create distance. You are no longer simply reacting to the world around you. You are navigating it, deliberately, strategically, humanely. This is not about controlling other people. It is about never again being unconsciously controlled yourself. It is about moving through your life with clarity about what is actually happening in every room you enter. The game has always been there. It always will be. The only question that has ever mattered is whether you're playing it or it is playing you. Now you know the difference. What you do with that is entirely up to you.